Hello, everybody. And I think the everybody could just be Anna so far. So, hey, Anna, I'm so glad that you could join me. I'm hoping if I do this every Friday, we will, get a crew and we'll be doing this together and you can ask me questions. So, Anna, I was going to do some math stuff, but you are in Cali and I know you don't have math. So let's think. I could talk about finance. In fact, I think I probably should talk about finance because that's kind of where I was going with the webinars this week. So if that is okay with you, I'm going to talk about finance just because I feel like it's a topic a lot of people struggle with. So when it comes to finance, oh, hi Soledad. You're in Cali too. Great. Okay, I got my two Cali people here. So, finance. I know that you all are going to have it. The question becomes, what do you need to know? Now, unfortunately, because you all are in California, oh no, not oh no, this is great. You passed. What? Oh my gosh, I wasn't even thinking about somebody passing. I got to get it all ready. Let's see if you can hear it. Let's see.
Good job, good job. Good
Good
job,
job.
good
Good
job.
job.
G-double-O-D-J-O-B.
G-double-O-D.
Good
Good
job,
job.
good
Good
job.
job. Uh-oh, you passed. And
My money don't jiggle jiggle, it folds. I like to see you wiggle wiggle, for sure.
we love it when people pass. Another one passed the test. Hey, doom, doom, doom. Another one passed the test. Hey, oh, I'm so glad that you passed. I'm so happy for you. Oh, and we've got Zakia. Zakia? Hopefully I said that correct. Welcome from Chicago. Hey, we're getting ourselves a little group here. Group party. We love it when people pass. Yay. So, back to finance, although that is amazing, and I cannot wait to play that song for every single one of you all. When it comes to finance, I think the key here is don't panic. Honestly, the key is don't panic because people tend to panic. And good, I did say it right. They tend to panic because they're like, "Oh my god, it's finance. It's finance." It's really not that complicated. I know it seems that way. It's just a lot of words that we're not used to. Imagine trying to teach somebody to cook for the first time. They'd never set foot in the kitchen. Even boiling an egg would seem weird because what's boiling, right? But now you all know what boiling is. Boiling an egg is not that hard. I feel that way about math and especially about finance. If you can just hold on to the vocab, then it's not going to be so intimidating. Plus, I don't care what state you're in, you're not testing to become a mortgage broker or banker or anything like that. I know it's easier said than done, but you're not studying to become a mortgage broker. So everything's got to be kind of base level, right? Okay. Anna said straight note. She still doesn't understand. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about a straight note. And for this, we're going to go to the handy dandy iPad so I can draw, which, Lord helps us, y'all know that that is not always my forte. So here we go. Oh, there we were talking about PITI with somebody on there. So, in order to understand straight notes, a straight note is the same as an interest only loan. Right? Well, that means this is kind of versus a fully amortized loan. So let's start with this fully amortized loan. This right here. This fully amortized loan actually relates to this whole PITI thing. In a fully amortized loan, whatever that amount of PI is, right? So I'm taking the PI here. Whatever that amount is, it never changes throughout the life of the loan. So if you have a 30-year loan and you pay that 12 times a year, you would make 360 payments of the same amount. But when you get to payment number 360, you have completely paid everything. Because that's what amortized means, to kill off slowly. So whatever this amount is, that PI amount, by the time you finish making your loan payments, you've paid all the principal and all the interest. There's nothing else due. That is a fully amortized loan, because this kind of means to pay or kill off slowly, because every month you're slowly paying down your principal balance. Well, separate from that, you've got your interest only loan. And every month, let's say you've got 30 years times 12 times a year equals 360 payments. But those payments are only interest. That's it. Only interest. So whatever this payment amount is, it's just interest, which means on payment number 360, you owe the entire balance. You never paid it down. None of the payments went towards paying down. So let's say you had a loan for, let's just say $100,000. If it was a straight note or an interest only note, then you might only pay, okay, let's do the math. You might only pay, I'll just pick a number. You might only pay $60 a month. And then on payment number 360, you're going to owe the $60 plus the $100,000 you originally borrowed. On payment 360, you still owe $100,000, even though you've been paying $60 a month forever. Versus if it was, I'll go here and change colors. If this was fully amortized, you might pay $100. You might borrow $100,000, and this is the fully amortized. And your payment might be $220 a month. However, when you finish payment number 360, you owe nothing else. Hopefully that makes sense. Now, I didn't choose real numbers because I know y'all are in California, and to the people that just joined me, welcome. But that's the difference. In a straight note, you're paying only interest, which is why a straight note is an interest-only loan. So hopefully that makes sense. If it does, Anna, give me some kind of emoji or something. Why would anybody want a straight note? Great question. Who is the crazy person that would want a straight note? Well, usually investors. Because if you're an investor, the idea is, okay, you buy the house, and then you know it's going to appreciate. I can spell appreciate. My handwriting's awful. And so is my spelling. However you spell appreciate. So it's going to appreciate. So it is risky. Maybe there's going to be some type of development that's going to, change the whole area. Let's say you were in a major metropolitan city and you knew that there was going to be a new football stadium built and you had a house nearby, or there was a house nearby. You might buy it on an interest-only loan, knowing that appreciation is going to go sky high. And then what you would do is you would sell it, but you've made appreciation, so it doesn't matter that you didn't put anything towards the principal. That's just one example. All right. So, oh, good, Soledad. I think that's an emoji to tell me that those are blue jay eggs and that you're happy. I think. I don't know. So, Anna, I just want to make sure that makes sense to you. Let me know. Give me a thumbs up or something in the chat if everybody is good with that. All right. If I can go on or if I need to talk about something else. So remember, we talked about two things here. We talked about this fully amortized loan versus this interest only loan. And we know this is a synonym for the interest only loan is a synonym for a straight note. Yay, good. And the examples are good. Awesome. So if you all have ever watched any of my videos on how to use the flashcards, you've heard me talk about on those flashcards, you need to connect things and you need to study vomit. And yes, I did say vomit. I'm sorry. But I want to talk about that because I think when people study, a lot of people seem to think, oh, if I go over the questions, if I get it right and I know it, then I'm done and that question is over. But that's not true. When you get a question, and let's say it was about straight notes, well, then you can study vomit that. So let me find some clear space here. Here we go. So let's start with, and I'll do it in black, a straight note. Well, off the bat, we know that is interest only. It's an interest only loan. And then off of that, I could say, oh, well, there's a fully amortized loan. And we know a straight note and a fully amortized note are both types of mortgages or loans. And we know there's other types of mortgages and loans. There's all sorts of vocab we learned. We would have learned about an ARM, which is an adjustable interest rate. And then you would have, things like a cap or, a limit, things like that. You might talk about reverse or negative amortization. We've got blanket mortgages. You've got package mortgages. You've got open-end mortgages. We have, conventional mortgages versus, and I'm going to pull that all the way out, government mortgages. And then once you get to government mortgages, you could say, oh, there's FHA, there's VA, there's USDA. And if we're talking about that, we could say, well, FHA only provides, okay, that was just awful. That was provides is awful. Ugh. Let's try that again. Only provides the mortgage insurance. It's called MIP. Right? VA loan is a guarantee. I know my handwriting is awful. Like, does everybody get what I mean when I say you study vomit? This is a good opportunity. Even though you started with straight note, it can lead you to other thought processes. And although it's not you answering a question, we already know that when you look at these questions that they give you on the test, they're always using vocab words that sound familiar. They're not trying to use the ones that are easy, like clearly it's not accretion. They tend to use the words that are somewhat confusing. So I would definitely tell you that, and I'll unlock this, study vomiting. Or basically, this is also kind of a way of making a flow chart. There's a chart you can do that as well, but it's great. It's like brainstorming. Exactly. What do you know about the topic? I know some of you all have seen those videos where I have groups of people and they have two words, and I'm like, oh, can you connect those two words? Hopefully so. Hopefully so. So that, there you go. There you go. I hope that helps. So let's go back to where you can see me. Sorry. Let me know what other parts of finance you are struggling with. Is there a word or a topic, something that I can go over for you? Because that's where I really want to go with these classes. I've thought about it, and I've decided that a lot of you all have either left out of class or you're taking this online and you don't have access to a teacher to ask a question. So could I provide questions? I can, but I would much rather be a resource to you. So you tell me, where do you want this session to go? And if nobody has any place for us to go, then we'll end it for the day. But I want to answer your questions. I want to be helpful. So anybody? And I really hate that there's a what do you call it? A delay. Because I asked a question and then I got to give you time to think and then you have to respond. And then I seem really crazy talking to myself, which I am crazy, but not for this reason. So you had a list of questions and you cannot find your list and you will continue to do lists. You know what, Anna? I can't find my marbles half the time. So I'm not mad about it. I am not mad about it. And I know there's other people watching. So anybody, not just Anna, this is open to anybody who's watching. Oh, that's okay, Soledad. You don't have to. You are showering your toddler. That sounds like herding cats. And you can just be listening. That is cool too. And anybody else that's there, you can throw a word out there. Otherwise, what I'm going to do is maybe choose like eeny, meeny, miny, mo a word in the finance chapter. Yeah, I think that's what we have to do, right? Ooh, we also need to get our eyebrows done. Eesh. So let me go to my list of vocab. Now, most of you, I'm hoping, have a book that your school gave you. And if it's a textbook, a lot of textbooks will have a vocab list at the beginning. What about vocab you need to know for financing? So exactly, Elena, that would be correct. Like that's kind of what I'm saying. And I would say I'm looking for it here on my iPad. So let me switch here. That's valuation. Now I combine this. This is from something I have, but I combined a whole bunch of textbooks from different states and I put together the words that have to do with financing. And I mean, I did it for every kind of topic and chapter, just in general on a national level. I am by no means claiming this is the end all be all list. But if all you have is a glossary, then it's hard to know which vocab words go where. When you have that textbook that glumps a whole bunch of words at the beginning of the chapter, that is so helpful. So, all right, you said, what does at arm's length mean? Oh, that's a good one. I should add that, but I'm going to do it right here. Poop-a-doo. Blow that up. At arm's length. That is a great one. So what that term means is when the sale goes through, and I could put this here or I could put this in valuation. But let's say my dad has a property and he sells it to, that's a terrible house. I mean, he sells it to me, Candace. Compare that if my dad were to sell it to you. Not the daughter. Well, let's be honest. You're going to pay top dollar because my dad's a great business person. Me, I'm going to pay like $0.25. Not even a full dollar. It's gonna be like a quarter of a dollar. Cause like what? He's just gonna maybe to cover the taxes. Like it's my dad. He's not going to give me a fair and open, honest market price. Even like his best friend or somebody he's known long time or a business associate. Whenever there's a transaction and there's not like just no relationship here, so that the transaction really is about the value of the property, not about the relationship. That is an arm's length transaction. And this comes up when we talk about appraisals, because when an appraiser, right, when the appraiser is looking for comps, remember comparables, comps, in the sales comparison approach, which is also known as the, it's not on here, but it's also called the market data approach, because this is not my list of synonyms, but they've got to choose at least 3 comps. And if we choose the comp, if that appraiser chooses a comp that went between me and my dad, that's going to throw off everything. The appraiser wants to choose comps that are arm's length transactions. Does that help, Anna? I'm hoping so, because that's what it means. And Zaki, you said, are there any main vocab words you should know? I would say the answer to that is anything that's on my video. That is my 5-hour video that's on YouTube. I think you've seen it, but it's basically the 5-hour review on my YouTube. It's YouTube. Well, you're on it now at Candace K. Ellis. You're on it now, but just look for the 5-hour review. And it's going to be the most, the most basic of the vocab words. I would say if you're watching that and you don't know some of those words, you're not ready. So that's going to be the 5-hour review. Anything else anybody wants to ask? It's only been about 20 minutes. I booked an hour, but if you don't have any other questions, I'm writing a paper or class on ethics as we speak. So I'll go and do my ethics class. But I love helping y'all. I love answering questions. Man, y'all let me do this without my water. Can I please explain more about insurance types? Insurance types of like mortgage insurance types, or do you mean like insurance for a house type? And so, Elena, you answer that. You tell me more what you're looking for in insurance. And Anna, I will talk about the direct income approach first. So the direct income approach, remember that, let me find what I'm looking for. When it comes to appraisals, now this was me talking about the cost approach to somebody the other day. So I'm going to clear that. When it comes to an appraiser, we know that they get 3 options here. They could use the sales comparison approach. They could use the cost approach, or they could use the income approach, right? And it just depends, you see it right here, why they use, what's the situation? Why do they use method number 1 or method number 2 or method number 3, or do they use more than one and kind of pull those numbers together? Fine, that's appraisal stuff. But one of the options for finding the value is the direct income approach. You use that for, and it says it right here, income producing properties. For example, if you buy an apartment complex, well, the whole reason you own all of them is because that property hopefully is giving you positive cash flow. It is bringing you in income every month and not causing you a loss. So this value comes from the income. Now, this is a very math heavy concept, but I will tell you generally the most popular one they ask about is NOI. Value is found by taking the net operating income. That's net operating income, and you're dividing that by the cap rate. That's how you find value. NOI divided by cap rate equals value. If it's a large apartment complex, it's got a lot of units, something like that. Otherwise, you could use the GRM or the GIM if it's smaller. But 90% of you all are going to have to know NOI. Even if you don't have math on your test, you got to know NOI, because NOI is, people buy investment properties, maybe an office building that they're renting out the suites to different businesses. It's all about the income it brings in. Right? So hopefully that makes sense. I didn't want to go too far down the math, but let me know if you have more questions. And Elena, you said the different types of insurance. Insurance. I'm trying to think. I don't even know if I put insurance on this thing, because insurance is not tested on every state. Let's see. Insurance. Hey, I did. I'm a genius. Woohoo. So, insurance. These are the big ones. You've got, and let's get rid of that. You've got the big ones. You've got your standard policy, which is going to be your HO3. You got your renter's policy, which is HO4. Your condo policy, which is HO6. And your modified, which is HO8. Now, HO, it could be HO, or it could be, what is it? It's not PO, it's something P, DP, dwelling policy. It could be HO, or it could be DP for dwelling policy, but the numbers stay the same. So when we say HO3, this is what most houses have. It covers the normal stuff, except it doesn't cover flood, it doesn't cover earthquakes or acts of terrorism. But everything else, if a tree falls on your house, if it's struck by lightning, if it catches on fire, that's going to be your standard policy, an HO3. Now, sometimes you're renting, which means the landlord has the property on the structure, and this policy needs to be on the tenant's stuff. That's an HO4 policy. Versus a condo is going to be an HO6, because it's going to be the owner's stuff. Do y'all remember the definition of a condo is this idea that you own the apartment, you own the airspace of the apartment, but you pay HOA dues because you can't call Jake from State Farm and say, hey, can I get a coverage, an insurance policy for 1/12 of this condo unit? No. There's one master policy for the HOA, and then you get an HO6 to cover your stuff. Now, how do I always remember this? Well, I remember when I took this class, I remember thinking, well, if I'm renting, I'm probably going to pay at least $1,000 for the entire apartment. So that's 4 numbers, 1000. But if I was buying a condo, I'd probably pay no less than $100,000, and that's got 6 digits, 100000. So the HO6 is when you buy a condo, and an HO4 is when you rent an apartment. It's going to cost you 4 numbers to rent. It's going to cost you 6 numbers to buy. And then you got HO8. This is the modified, where the policy is greater than the market value. So I like to give the example of my dad's house. It's in downtown Detroit-ish area. It's historic, and it would cost so much more to rebuild than the value just if you put it on the market, because it's still downtown Detroit. It's growing up a lot, but it's not the same as the rest of the country. So he has an insurance policy that would be for more than the market value. That's when you need this modified insurance. Hopefully that helps, Elena. Let me know. And okay, you said you were in the review course for prep agent. I don't remember what that was for the prep agent, but that's okay. So tell me, how can I help you? What else do we need to know? What else do you need to know? What else do you need to know? Oh, and just remember, guys, I do have it down here, but I'm going to make it bright. Flood is not covered in basic policies. You're usually going to have to cover flood in a different policy. Just remember that fact. Good, good. I'm glad, Elena, that makes sense. Anybody else with a question? Anybody else? I mean, we've been doing it for a half an hour, and that's fine. Excuse me, especially since I didn't get water, and I'm thirsty, but that's okay. I want to be available in case anybody has a question. The master review I just did a week ago, did you have a question about it, or were you just saying that you were there for it? I just wanted to make sure I didn't miss something. Your question is too hard to print out. Is it a math question, Anna, or is it a concept question? If it's a concept question, you can kind of tell me what the concept is about. Like, is it agency? Is it finance? And even if it is long, I mean, like, I can put your comment on the screen so everybody can read it. I don't mind that either. And guys, it doesn't have to be just questions about the exam. You all could have questions about how to choose a broker, or what's real estate like, or, anything like that. I can't guarantee an answer, but I can guarantee honesty. That I can do. All right, you're good. It was a great session. Anybody else? Can I explain a little bit more about GRM and GIM? Yes, I can. So for this, I'm going to go here. So remember, this is part of the income approach. We're using this for properties that make money. So GRM stands for gross rent multiplier. And GIM stands for gross income multiplier. Now, every state kind of does it a little differently, kind of like measuring a house. Everybody has a little bit different rules on how you do this, but I'm going to give you a, oh, I thought my phone was off. It's Maria, y'all. Let's tell her that we're live. Hey, I'm doing a YouTube live. Say hi. See, guys, that was Maria. I will call you back when we finish in a little bit.
All right.
Bye. Maria says hi. So this is when you're using the income approach to find value. And I love these because it tells you what it is. It's a gross multiplier. So that's going to be a number, your GRM number. It's a multiplier. So you're going to multiply it by what? The gross rent. And that's going to give you value. Versus a GIM, a gross income multiplier, you're going to take whatever that GIM number is. You're going to multiply it by the gross income. And that's going to give you value. Now, there's lots of ways where you can say, well, how do I know which one I'm going to use? Some states only use GRM. Some states use GIM. I teach it all the ways, but generally this is going to be for 1 to 4 unit residential properties, and this is going to be for, 5 or more properties. Sometimes in some states, the rent is a monthly amount. Depending on the book, sometimes it can be annual. And usually, when we talk about income, it's going to be an annual amount. So, unlike the NOI method, neither of these take into consideration your expenses. So, Anna, you said it has to do with GM, GRM, GIM equals value. Why call it a multiplier? So, did that make sense? Because you're taking that GRM and you're multiplying it. You're taking that GIM and you're multiplying it by either the gross income or the gross rent. And these are owned properties. So yes, somebody, usually if you're coming up with value, it's because it's being appraised. Somebody wants to own it or use it for something. Hey, Soledad, welcome back. Toddler bath time over. So does that kind of make sense, Anna? And okay, you said also GRM equation, property divided by total annual income, or GRM. Why are the equations different? Girl, that's a great question. I do not know. I do not know. You know what it reminds me of? If you go into commercial real estate, you know that you've got, there's going to be class A, and there's going to be class B, and there's going to be class C, commercial real estate. Well, think about it. So if you're in LA, what they consider class A real estate will be quite clear. It's the best, it's the greatest, it's the newest, usually within 20 years or so. Class B is the next step down. But would it make sense if you're in the middle of nowhere, what's class A there could be class B in LA? So everything is kind of relative. I have not figured out why states or why in the industry there's just not one. I mean, maybe it's like makeup. There's not just one way to put on mascara. Some people like to swipe down the lash. Some people like to zigzag back and forth. Some people like to let one coat dry and then put the other one on. I mean, there are so many different ways. And I think it just depends. I wish I had an answer. And then you said that's your job, commercial real estate. So you get that. So you very much get that this can vary depending on area. It's kind of like how you measure commercial real estate, office space. There's no one way to do it. There's no official, this is the only way in every state to measure commercial real estate. In my state, we have something called the BOMA method or the BOMA standard. I don't know if that's national or not, but it could be used. It might not be used. It is what it is. So I know that's not much of an answer, but it's the best I got. Sorry. All right. Curly hair struggles. I understand curly hair struggles. I really, really do. And Anna, did that answer your questions about, let's see, the GRM and the GIM? I know you asked about the, why do we call it a multiplier? Because we are multiplying it by the gross rent. And then you asked about why are they different? So there. You have the BOMA in Cali? Okay, that's good to know. That is good to know. I got nothing. Because, as my mom likes to say, because I said so. But it's not me saying so. It's the industry saying so. All right. Anybody else? More questions on this or more questions on anything? I am open. I am open. I don't know why that made me think of working 9 to 5. Can you watch this live later? Yes, it'll be part of when you go to, actually, let's see. When you go to my site, you can just go to the live section. What tricks or tips do I have for you to study? You know, my biggest one, my biggest tip, the absolute biggest tip is don't just know the right answer. You should know why the wrong answers are wrong. I think that is my biggest tip. Don't just stop with, oh, that's the right answer. What is it about the wrong answers that make it wrong? Because then you'll get used to finding those small details. When you get those two answers that are very similar, if you start picking up on those little details, then it doesn't seem as tricky because they didn't trick you because you know it. Go for it, Soledad. What's your question? Feel free to type it in the chat. Put your question in the chat. If I sell a property, if a property is sold, 4 owners on a loan, 2 on title, when the property gets sold, all signers are entitled to compensation. Well, that's going to be an attorney question. So what you're saying here, and I'm going to put this on the page. If you sell a property, if a property is sold, there are 4 owners on the loan, 2 on title, but only 2 on the title when the property gets sold, are all signers entitled to compensation. That is totally an attorney question. If there are 4 owners, then there was probably some type of, like, is it joint tenancy? I mean, that doesn't matter because you're selling it. That's about inheriting it. Like, that is above and beyond anything they should be asking you on this test, because the word entitled is that's a whole different beast. I would say generally yes. Like, my guess is an attorney or judge would probably say yes, but again, I'm not an attorney, so I don't know. Was that a question that came up on a practice exam? Because if so, if you have a screenshot of it, show it to me, email it to me. Assuming this was not your actual exam, right? But I would love to see what book is doing it. Oh, family members. Yeah, family is always complicated. Thanks, guys. Yeah, entitled to compensation. That is a call an attorney. It's when you wish grandma or granddad was still alive to be like, I'm going to need everybody to do better. Do better, people. All right, I think that's it, right? I think that's it for today. I'll give you one more moment if you want to ask me another question. Are these good? Let me know. I know there's like 7 of y'all watching. Is this good? Do we want me to continue doing these on Friday? I really do love doing them, and I love being able to answer questions. And the more we do this, the more you all will know that come with questions. Come with questions. I want to be that resource if you're not seeing a teacher weekly. You're going through it with your brothers. Brothers. That's all you had to say. Siblings. Here. Siblings. Yes, you like it? Good, Anna. All right. Well, I don't want to take up too much of your day, but I'm going to say I'll be doing this next Friday and then the Friday after next. I'm assuming, wait, let me check dates. I'll be doing this. Next Friday is the 16th. Yep, I'll be doing it on that's May. Next Friday is the 14th. And then, of course, I'll do it on the 21st. But then you won't see me for a couple weeks as I move to Michigan. What about highest and best use? Oh, yeah, I can do that really quickly. The idea of highest and best use. The idea of highest and best use means that, okay, it's the use that makes the most money, but it also has to be legal. It's got to be, like possible. Right? So let's say somebody and they've got a piece of land and they want to sell it. It's 4 acres. And they're like, oh my gosh, if somebody were to put in a Starbucks, this 4 acres would make so much money. Oh my gosh, this totally needs to be a Starbucks. It could be worth millions. Well, if it's zoned residential, it's not possible to put in a Starbucks. So the highest and best use would be residential use. They can't say, no. The highest and best use would be the legal and possible use that would make the most money. Right? So Okay, guys, I'm gonna call it because it's 2:45. I will see y'all for the next 2 Fridays, and I'm gonna see if I can get Maria or somebody else to pop in on the weeks I'm not here, just so that you all still have um, you have a free live. I'll see. It helps if Ryan if we get an email invite. So, I got to figure out how to do that because I'm just going live on YouTube. So let me work on that cuz it's just me. I'm not doing this with the school or anything. It's just me going, "Hey, I'm going to go live." But that makes sense, Anna. Let me see what I can come up with. I'll work on that. So so the last thing you see is not my screen. Thank you guys so much for doing this with me. Again, I'll be back for the next 2 Fridays. I will try to find a way to do email reminders. I think Maria knows how to do it. And I think that's it. So, guys, I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you all on Monday during the webinar. Bye, everybody.